Okay, hey everyone. So today I brought a video. So this is a tutorial made by this guy named AgeVol42. I've seen in game a couple of times as well. Uh, but before I start, note that this is just for purely objective criticism. I'm not trying to insult this person or any name shame or anything like that. I'm pretty sure none of this would happen, but just in case, yeah. So let's get this infinite of OBS bullshittery out of the way and watch the video. I'm just gonna run through this video and talk about, well, comment on what he got right and wrong. So yeah, let's go with it.
So, you want to know how to make a hover that doesn't suck.
Okay. Straight off the bat, let's take a look at his hover. I'm really hoping this is not the example of a hover that he's going to give. But art and styles aside, so first thing I'm noticing are the exposed hovers. Because hovers are very fragile in general, you want to try and encase your hover inside your bot. I'm seeing a bit of rod forcing right here. I'm not sure what that does yet, but I'm not sure. Anyways, and also this hover in the back. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but this hover in the back, it's sticking out and holding on to one rod only. If you watch my video, you should know that if there's a single mount part, you need to dual mount that shit. Okay, this is a single mounted part that will crit off when you hit the mounting block of the rod. Which means no, this is not a good idea. What you want to, this is not the idea that you want to have. And I'm seeing some side plates right here. I'm not sure what this really does. I don't really see a purpose for these side plates right here, but yeah, let's continue on with the video.
So, you want to know how to make a hover that doesn't suck. Hovers are a great and versatile movement type.
Oh god, of course he has recoil on.
I personally quite find fun to play. However, building a hover is not always as straightforward and simple as one would like it to be. So today, I'm making a little walkthrough tutorial of how I build.
Okay, so this is the hover he uses in his tutorials, and this is the one that I see often. First issue, mega hovers. I'll explain why. So mega hovers, the advantage of hovers, I'd say, is that the fact that you can encase them inside your bot and have them be fully functional no matter what. And mega hovers, they're so large that that advantage is gone. And because the current meta is burst meta, everything has very high damage per shot. So the higher HP of mega hovers, it actually does not help at all. So it's actually better to use lower end hovers like tier zeros, or right now is tier fours. Either or is fine. Any tier 0 to tier 4 hovers encased inside your bot is a lot better than using mega hovers. Mega hovers is, unless you're going for aesthetics with the mega hovers, you want to try and avoid using mega hovers at all costs. Let's continue on.
Hovers to play in tier 5. Start by placing 5 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab the electro shield and place 2 of them just like that. Then go ahead and fill in all the bottom blocks right up to the end of the shield. Go ahead and grab the inner slope. You can place one of those on each end and just use the edge block to fill in the rest of this. Go ahead and fill in the rest of the cubes out to the edge of the post.
I'm gonna guess he stops after, yeah. So doing this is fine. It's fine, right? It's not a bad idea entirely. However, the area covered by the mega plates right there, it's very protected by the mega plate, right? So instead of making a full block cube in full blocks, I would personally have a few split protection rods internalized inside within the little areas that are covered by the mega plate. And I'd also have a short tick connection between the two mega plates, since there are damage sinks. I explained that in my Metabot Triforcing stream. If you didn't watch that, you can go ahead and watch that on my channel. It should be one of the most recent videos on my channel. So yeah, that's what I do. But so far, this is not a bad idea. It's optional. I personally go for a smaller design just because of hovers are very agile, so you want to have a smaller profile to use that agility a bit more. But other than that, it's just more of a personal preference thing. So far, it's not bad. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Okay. Uh, yeah. Let's move on.
I'm going to be using the tier 5 hovers. These are not the most popular, but I certainly like them because they have nearly 5 times as much health as the next hover, and they also carry a lot of mass.
So yeah, I just said earlier, these hovers increase HP. They do not help. It does not help the hover survive. I mean, it does help, but in this current burst meta, so movement parts should be considered one of your most vital parts on your bot, and using that externally is not the best idea if you know what I mean. Like think of mechs or sprinters; they always have a backup movement, like hovers, because their movement is externalized. They always have backup movement, and what are those backup movements? They're smaller to your hovers, not just because oh they can fit inside and small. It's small. It's also because you can internalize them, and if you can internalize them, then the chances of them getting lost it decreases significantly. And also, he mentioned carry mass. Carry mass is not an issue with hovers unless you're going to go full heavy Q with only like one hover or some bullshit like that. You can use tiers or you can use like 8 tiers or hovers, and I'm sure you can lift this entire bot completely fine. Let's go on.
If you've watched my last video, you will no doubt know why I'm doing this. It's called rod forcing, and here this reinforces the mount points of large components. It adds additional connection points to other parts of the robot.
Okay, so one, that's not what rod forcing is. Rod forcing is not. This is not how rod forcing works. Rod forcing is when you basically take a. This was more of a term during back when back during boost era or before that. So about 2018 or before. So rod forcing is basically when you take a part like a weapon or a hover and you attach it directly on a straight rod, like not these curved or well curved also works, but not these like four connection point rods, but just a two connection point rod, and then you attach the weapon or movement part directly onto that rod. Something similar to what he did earlier, but internalized, like something similar
A
to
hover that
this hover that I mentioned earlier, like the backside right there.
So
That
you mentioned
that's rod forcing except it's internalized. What he did right here is sort of a dual mount, but not really.
popular, but
So he said that he did this because it adds additional connection points to the hover. Here's the thing. I know I said that you should always dual mount your hovers because well they increase the amount of connection points you have and it doesn't get crit from one shot. Here's the problem here. You are this bot no mega hovers. How many connection points does it have? It has one, two, three, four, five each. So is this necessary? Not at all. It is absolutely unnecessary to have this. Uh, what's this called? What's this even called? Like, I'm just going to call it a swastika rod because it used to look like it. So unless because this mega hover has five connection points already, this rod quote unquote rod forcing he has is highly unnecessary. It's better to just grab each mount and then extend it by like a straight rod or a curved normal like two connection point rod and like extend it to different areas of your bot rather than doing whatever this bullshittery is.
points to other parts of the robot. You'll notice that one of these connection points is not being used. It's going right up against a post, but that's okay. Here, I'm connecting one of the mount points of the hover directly onto the electroplate. Those electroplates are useful in part because of their health, but mostly because of their extra connection points. This is a really good solid anchor point, and it helps hold the whole robot together. Think of it like a giant rod. That rod forces the entire length of the robot.
Okay, this is actually correct. So, having a bottom mega plate actually holds your bot together very well. I also mentioned it in my Metabot Triforcing video. It holds your bot together very well. However, one issue that I'm noticing here is that he connected a one tick from Mega Plate to Hover. So what I would actually the issue with this is that when the Mega Plate gets destroyed, the first thing that your damage will transfer into is your Hover. And you don't want that because as a hover, one of your worst enemies is Plasma and Mortar, right? And Plasma and Mortar, most likely, if you're unless you're floating on the ground itself and they land a direct shot, most likely you'll get scraped across the bottom of your bot. So what you're doing right now is letting Mega Plasma or letting Mega Plasma or Mortar to directly attack your hovers, not by not even touching the hovers itself. Like I said before, your hovers are your movement board. It is your vital, one of the most vital parts of your bot to function. So what I would do is connect the mega plate in the short tick. So with this macro, the shortest possible is actually 3 ticks. So you will have one corner here, and then you have three long rod connecting each. And then what I would do is change the amount of the mega hover a little bit so that there's a 4 tick connection from the mega plate to the mega hover, so that when one of the mega plates gets destroyed, it will go into the other mega plate before it reaches the hover. But that would be saying when if I use mega hovers in the first place. Like I said before, just using lower tier hovers internalized within your bot is actually a lot better than using mega hovers.
Connect this mounting point directly on to the electro plate. You can do that on both
Just 1 second.
You can also
Okay, that's fine.
take one of the rod plus, and we can put it right here to connect to that central mounting point. We'll do that on both of these. You'll note that this very nicely slides in between the two posts, but it dead ends here. You can fix that just taking one of these edge slopes. Boom. Now this is a valid point. These last two over here, I am not going to rod force them, I'm simply going to let them stand on the frame.
Okay, so the issue with this one is, like I said before, your connection points is already you already have 5 connection points on the mega hover, so you don't need to do this plus rod like multi-connection rod bullshittery. You just need to grab some rods and separate them. Another issue is he left the closest 2 connection points to connect directly to the block spam. The issue with this is that if the block spam of this area is destroyed, all your connections in this area, it's gonna get destroyed. Like all your connection from the mega hover to the block spam in this area, it's gonna get destroyed. Like you see, he's gonna fill up this entire section with blocks like this, right? So let's say you take damage right here, like right here. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but right in this corner, where the plus rod meets the back part of the block spam. If you get damage there, look at how many connection points you lose. You lose the plus rod, and you lose the 2 block spam only connection points. Now your only connection to your body is the one that connects directly to the mega plate, aka the largest part on your body, and also the one that connects to the middle only. Now, let's say you take more damage and you take damage in the middle. This entire mega hover is critting off, no matter what. So what I would have done is not this, just definitely not this. I would instead grab these 2 connection points and then separate them somehow. You want to, if you have a multi-connection point parts like a mega plate or mega hover or any sort of tier 5 or above tier 5 parts, then what you want to do is grab the connection points and separate them from each other so that you can have the connection points stretch out into different parts of your bot, and you can have the part intact for a lot longer.
On the frame. So if I have another layer of cubes on top of what we just built, do this right here, so that these cubes do not connect to this. You want this to be a separate connection from the rest of the robot frame.
This is fine. This is fine. This is completely fine. Because you want your hover to damaging connection be completely isolated so that no external damage can destroy that connection, that damaging route that you have, unless it's a direct point. The only issue is the one I mentioned earlier. It's a 1 tick connection to your mega plate. So I will make a longer tick, but other than that, this part of the tutorial is fine.
Exclusively connected to the electroplate, not to the rest of the robot, and do that here as well. After exercising your creative freedoms, you can come up with your own chassis design. This is the one that I designed, which I sized it to fit the weapons that I want to use. Before I add my weapons, hovers have a tendency to lose control and flip over when they're going over rough terrain or when you've taken damage.
Yeah, this is true. And also, this block spam right here, I don't see a single split protection rod right here. I know he has the mega plate on the bottom, but you still need split protection no matter what. Add your split protection, people. Add it. It is very crucial to your bot survival.
To lose control and flip over when they're going over rough terrain or when you've taken damage. There's one thing you can do which will massively mitigate the severity of that issue: rudders. When your robot is starting to tilt over, it will try to put the robot right side up, and it's very good at doing that. So just add one vertical rudder. It can be right side up, or, as I prefer, you can put them upside down. You are free to pick your own weapons, but the ones I
Okay, so this rudder fact is very crucial to building hovers. It is extremely crucial, okay? However, one issue. He said it should have only one rudder. No, that's wrong. No. Well, you can, but you need redundancy. On a pure hover, I would have at least four. No, at least three. Three is the minimum, but four is the optimal. That's what I'd say. Three is the minimum. Three is the minimum. Four is the optimal, not just one, because redundancy. In case you get destroyed, you want more. It's the same reason why you have multiple guns if you have max fire rate or 4 guns fire rating gun. You want to have redundancy just in case the what already existing one gets destroyed. And also, he placed it at the very back of the bot. Uh,
or, as I prefer, you can
so he placed it at the very back of the bot, right? So one issue with this is that if you put it too far away from your center of mass, your bot will actually tilt upwards when you swing, like when you turn your bot side to side. Like when you turn, it will swing your bot upwards, so tilt your bot upwards, and actually it will increase the chance of you to begin to flip. So what I would do is actually place it closer to the center of the bot, like not at the absolute center, but maybe like a bit more forwards would be better. Yeah, that's what I would do.
put them upside down. You are free to pick your own weapons.
And upside down, upright, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Just do what you want. As long as it fits, put it in. Okay?
I have chosen for today the Tier 4 shotguns, as well as the Tier 5 arrow flak. I think this will be a good balance between close range DPS as well as long range anti-air.
Okay, so tier 4 ion and tier 5 flak. It's not a bad combination, not gonna lie, but you would have better options. But honestly, I'm gonna be to be completely honest. I don't think ions on a hover is too good of an idea. One, because ions have probably the biggest recoil in all of in every between every single gun. So at lower HP, once you fire your gun, it might cause you to flip. Another issue is actually no, there's not. That's probably the only issue, but honestly, it doesn't matter too much. If you want to use tier 4 ion and tier 5 flag, you can go ahead. But just know that there are better options. Like, having a rail instead of that flag is probably a lot better. But that's just personal preference, and you don't have to always be competitive or always be a tryhard. So, this weapon combination is completely fine, I'd say. But one thing I would do is probably raise the flag a little on the back and bring the ion forwards a little. But other than that, I think this is a fine option.
One more thing before we get there. Rod forcing. Lots and lots of rod forcing.
Uh,
For this one, I'm going to use the Strut Plus.
Okay, so I see a very, very big issue. Hold on, my mic just got pulled out. Whoops. Hello. Okay, so I see a very, very big issue here. So she's gonna use rod forcing. So the reason why rod forcing works, even if it's done his way, is because their hitbox is so small, it's gonna be hard to hit it off. He's using struts. That does not work. This strut right here is going to get. It's one of the easiest targets on this bot to get hit. That's not gonna work, dude. It's absolutely not gonna work. And another issue is You see how the struts meet on one connection point in the middle? Yeah, imagine what would happen if you degun one of the ions. It would transfer the damage directly to the strut, into this cube, into that strut, and into the other weapon. Meaning, you can get both your ions degunned just from one rail shot to the ion. You don't want that. You do not want that. And another issue we have is, you see how the strut connects directly to the front of, like, the very front of your bot here? Imagine if you take damage from the front. This will go into your strut and into your ion, and possibly the other ion as well. You want to separate your guns from the front, not as much as possible but a decent amount, like at least a slope here that's not connecting the strut to the body at the front would be better. But in the first place, you should not use a strut in this area. Yeah, I would rather use a rod that extends backwards and then put like a corner in front of the ion and call it a day. That would be a lot better, honestly. And maybe have a connection to the mega plate so it damage things. Of course, that would be 4 ticks because a mega plate to mega plate was 3 ticks, as I mentioned earlier. So ion to the mega plate should be 4 ticks. And another thing I'm worried about is the ion to the hover connection. It looks like they're very close to each other. So before any overflow from degunning the ion goes into any damage sink like a mega plate or your block spam, it will sink into your hover first. So that's another issue. Like I said before, you want to keep your movement parts no matter what. They are vital to your survivability. Moving on.
Which has almost 20,000 health, and connect that directly onto the side. I will not be doing any rod forcing on the arrow flak. The arrow flak is such a large weapon, it's like it's already been rod forced. Just make sure all 5 connection points are mounted. Now that
Okay, that is very true. However, I would still have a damage sink attached directly to the mega arrow flak, possibly 2 of them maybe, like one to one mega plate, one to the other mega plates, so that any overflow goes into your mega plate and it keeps your integrity.
weapon, it's like it's already been rod forced. Just make sure all 5 connection points are mounted.
Yes, please, when you use a multi-mile connection point block or part, use all your connection points, please. Please do it, okay? Use the advantage of using a multi-mile connection point blocks. They are built-in split protection, alright? Built-in dual mount, built-in split protection, alright? So please use it, alright? Yeah.
Have this beautiful machine.
Oh, he's just coloring now. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like coloring, it really doesn't matter. Coloring is just your option.
There we go. A paint job need not be anything fancy, but I think you'll agree that just a little bit goes a long ways. Now it's time to test out our robot.
Yeah.
I want to show you the advantage of the rudder.
You see how it nosed up right here? That's because his rudder is so far back in the bot. That's why you want it more forward in the bot instead of being at the very back. Yeah, not at the forward, but it should be from the middle to the back section. Like the middle 3-4. If your bot is like, let's say your bot looks like this. Let's divide it vertically into fourths, perfect fourths. You want to be at the third back, like the back third of your bot. All right? Yeah. So yeah, if you have a bot like this is divided 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this part is the back and this part is the front. You want to be at 1, 2, and 3. Like any part within this area, you want your rudders to be there, and then your fourth is just your back armor.
And we end up right side up.
But yeah, you do notice how the rudder is helping,
Now you can climb things that hovers usually can't climb. And all the way to the ground, it's nice and stable. Here is a hover that doesn't suck. I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you in combat.
Oh, another thing about Ion is that Ion is a closer range weapon, so you want speed, alright? So hovers recently did get a speed boost, so thrusters may not be needed, but unless you're going to spam the shit out of hovers, you're gonna need some thrusters to help with your what is it? You're gonna need some thrusters to help closing the distance between you and the enemy to use your ions. Is the rest just gameplay? Yeah, it seems like it. Alright, so you saw what I said. Well, you heard what I said. This is the reason why this tutorial is quite false. There are a number of issues in this tutorial, so yeah, please watch out. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll answer. Alright? Hope you have a nice day and I'll see you later. See ya!